Hello and welcome to the BMC Learning Series. Today we'll be covering the configuration of the RTCS System Registry, Part 2, Configuration Options and OZI. There are generally two types of Sysplexes which may occur. The most common is a Sysplex where all DASD and catalogs are shared, so that all LPARS can access a single shared RTCS subsystem system registry. We call this a full Sysplex. Another type is where a Sysplex is constructed to use XCF sharing, but DASD and catalog are restricted to multiple subplexes which are isolated from each other. In this case, each subplex is sometimes configured to use a separate, dedicated backing VLDS for the RTCS subsystem system registry, as the other subplexes would not have physical access to it. However, there are other ways to handle the subplex configuration. In a monoplex, there are no XCF sharing considerations, as a monoplex does not use XCF, nor does it share DASD with other systems. In a full Sysplex, the recommended configuration is a single registry that is shared by all systems. In this case, the SREG VLDS and XCF group is the same for all systems. Eligible owner systems specify shared registry, so that they can become the local owners, while ineligible owner systems specify remote registry, as they should not allocate the registry, but only access it via XCF. Here we see a more complex situation where a Sysplex has been divided into two isolated JES masses. In order to qualify as a Sysplex, the coupled datasets must be accessible to all systems, and the XCF ring joins all systems, but the rest of the DASD and catalog information is isolated to each mass. In this case, the recommended configuration is for each mass to have its own RTCS subsystem system registry that is shared between the LPARS in that mass or subplex. However, this means that the OZI INI members must be configured to accommodate this situation. First, each subplex will point to a different SREG VLDS, and also a separate registry XCF group associated with the SREG VLDS. Then each LPAR will have its own eligible owner/ineligible owner setting, and the associated shared registry or remote registry setting. Here's an alternative arrangement where there's a single shared RTCS subsystem system registry, but it is owned by the A subplex. That is, only the LPARS in the subplex A can be owners of the RTCS registry, because only they have physical access to it and can allocate it. Therefore, all systems in the subplex B are now ineligible owners with remote registry only setting. All communications from the subplex B LPARS is through XCF, but their SREG VLDS and registry XCF group is now synchronized with subplex A. A consideration for this configuration is that if all systems in subplex A are unavailable for some reason, none of the RTCS dependent products will operate anywhere, since the RTCS subsystem system registry would not be available to any systems. For this reason, this configuration should only be considered where there is continuous availability of LPARS on the owning subplex. Here's another case where the backing VLDS for the RTCS subsystem system registry can be placed on the same or a similar volume as the coupled datasets, that is, one that is physically available to all systems and whose datasets are cataloged to all systems. In this case, the situation is similar to the full Sysplex scenario in that the registry can be shared and owned by all systems. The drawback to this is that in the subplex configuration, the amount of DASD which can support a fully shared dataset is very limited and may not be available for non-system datasets. The RTCS subsystem system registry can hold entries on behalf of other BMC products. These entries can be LPAR specific or shared. Shared entries introduce considerations of the scope of the RTS subsystem system registry. Because the RTCS subsystem system registry can hold pointers to physical datasets, The scope or span of control of the RTCS registry should be the same as that of the dataset allocations it points to. In a full Sysplex environment, there can be a single shared RTCS registry because the product datasets are available to all LPARS. In a Subplex environment, the datasets are generally available only to the LPARS within the Subplex. The RTCS registry should be allocated on the same basis. The installation system, OZI, provides only limited control over the configuration of the OZI any member. The RTCS registry name is constructed from two variables in the $INC gen and the $INC INF members, while the initial setting for the XCF group is entered on a panel. The eligible, ineligible owner and registry instance status, shared or remote, is defaulted and must be changed manually. Once established, the XCF group is hard-coded into the skeleton member in the JCL dataset, so that if more than one XCF group, Subplex configuration, is required, that value must also be changed manually. Also, if the customer does not want to use the supplied DSN pattern, that must be changed manually. The $445 copy job only creates the initial member and must be manually modified for the other LPARS. Here's the skeleton member OZI creates in the JCL library. It contains values only for the LPAR where the installation system resides. Most of the parameters are hard-coded into this member. If other parameter values are required on other systems, they will have to be changed manually on the remote system. If you want to change the dataset naming convention for the RTCS System Registry backing VLDS, you will need to change it both in the skeleton member and the allocation job, $310 VZMC. The $445 copy copies the skeleton member to the UBMC PARM library while tailoring the RTCS registry name. This job only creates the member for the local LPAR. If additional LPAR members are needed, this job must be modified to create another member with the proper suffix, usually $sysclone, or the member must be copied manually. Any changes to the hard-coded parameters such as eligible, ineligible owner, or shared remote registry must be made manually. All LPARS sharing the same RTCS system registry should use a shared OZI any members rather than each having its own individual member. This ensures consistent parameters across the registry sharing group and allows for consistent, centralized maintenance if necessary. In general, a single member can be used. If some LPARs are ineligible owners, then two will be necessary. To create a shared member, simply copy the LPAR-specific OZI any member to a member suffixed with 00. This can be used by all the eligible owner members. In order for the shared member to be used by all RTCS instances, modify the OZI init proc to point at any member 00, rather than whatever hard-coded sysclone value it was delivered with. A simple /s OZI init command can be used to start RTCS on all eligible owner LPARs. If some LPARs are marked ineligible owner along with remote registry, then another member must be created by copying the 00 member and changing those parameters. The OZI init proc should still point to the 00 member by default. The ineligible owner LPARs must use this OZI init command. When multiple subplexes exist in a Sysplex, it is critical that every LPAR at each subplex specifies the same RTCS subsystem system registry, and that they are isolated from each other by having different XCF groups. Each registry sharing group will have its own UBMC PARM library in this case, so that it can have its own different OZI any 00 members. There are many factors which determine how the RTCS subsystem system registry is configured and utilized. Each RTCS eligible owner member must have physical access to the backing VLDS used for the RTCS System Registry. If all LPARS have shared DASD and catalog, a single shared registry is recommended. If multiple subplexes which do not share DASD and catalogs exist within the Sysplex, each subplex must have its own registry. Other configurations are possible, but are not recommended by BMC. The XCF group extent should correspond to the physical sharing scope of the RTCS registry. Full Sysplex sharing should have a single XCF group and can use the default value of the OZI RTCSR. In subplex sharing, each subplex should have its own XCF group. In this case, the XCF group name will have to be manually modified from the default value. RTCS instances can be classified as eligible owner using shared registry and ineligible owner using remote registry. If an RTCS registry sharing group has a mixture of these, 2 different OZI INI members will be required and assigned via the OZI init start command parameter list. By default, OZI creates a separate OZI INI member for each LPAR. It is recommended that 1 or 2 shared members be created and assigned to the RTCS registry sharing members as appropriate. For more videos on MainView and other BMC solutions, please visit our BMC Mainframe YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/BMC Software Mainframe/featured. That's it for this session. Thank you and see you next time.